Yugi's legendary decks being reprinted on the 27th of May. This gives us some of the most iconic cards used in the anime, but what card from this set leads to the strongest and most competitive deck? This is going to be the start of a mini-series around Yugi's legendary decks. Looking at the card list, I divided the cards into 9 main archetypes. These archetypes are Exodia, the God cards, Gadgets, Blackluster Soldier, Buster Blader, Dark Magician, Magnet Warriors, Silent Magician and Swordsman, and Guy the Fierce Knight. The challenge is to build the most competitive deck for each of these archetypes to see which archetype comes out on top.
It's time to do.
Welcome back to the series. We keep moving. This time we've got the Exodia episode. It's probably going to be the shortest episode of the entire series, just because we're playing a Mystic Mind Exodia deck, and I am not going to let you sit through 30 minutes of gameplay of me just setting Mystic Mind and letting the opponent burn. We'll go through the card by card right now. Obviously, one piece of every Exodia piece, 3 Silent Wobby, 3 Mystic Mind.
Now you have become the very thing you swore to destroy.
No expansion needed. 3 Demise of the Land, same thing. Terraforming, Metaverse, 3 Field Barrier to protect Mystic Mind, 3 Pot of Prosperity, and 3 Duality, so we can get Prosperity to dig for 6, add 1, and then we can dig an extra 3 to get Duality as well to get an extra 1. We're playing 2 Shard of Greed, just because it's basically Pot of Greed in this deck because of Mystic Mind being on the field. 1 Upstart Goblin, 3 Ledger of the Ledgerman, 1 Solemn Judgment, 3 Prohibition, 2 Goddess Skulls Oracle, and 1 Day of Peace. And then the extra deck does not matter. We've just put some of my favourite cards in there, but this is literally for Pot of Prosperity. But yeah, this is definitely going to be the shortest episode because the fact that we're playing a Mystic Mind stall deck to try and draw into Exodia. Basically my first time using Mystic Mind properly anyway, and I've got to say you do get some backlash for using this deck. But yeah, I would talk you through some of the card choices, but I think it's pretty self-explanatory. We'll kick off into the one game that we're going to kick off into because the games take so long. I'll show you some highlights of other games, but yeah, we'll kick off and then we'll go on to strengths and weaknesses at the end.
People of tomorrow, let me tell you a story.
Right, so now you've seen the highlights of our Mystic Mind deck. Obviously, holding a very high win percentage right now. This deck probably got the highest win percentage of any deck that we currently have used, just because people see Mystic Mind and leave the game straight away. But yeah, this is the game that we're actually trying to get to Exodia. So we see we start the game, we've got Shard of Greed, we've got Demise of the Land set and Solemn Judgment. So we're just waiting for a special summon really to be able to activate Demise of the Land. Mystic Mind right now is such a house, still so hard to get rid of in this format because people still aren't main decking like spell trap removal, especially when you've got Prohibition like we do in this deck. It becomes really hard. I was actually going to say with Prohibition as well. I didn't realise how effective Goddess Skulls Oracle is with Prohibition. Obviously because we get to see the top 3 cards of the opponent's deck every time, so then we can rearrange that. But obviously if we have Prohibition at the same time, we can then just call out for their spell and trap removal and then just cannot use that card anymore, so it's really good. But we do into Ledger of Ledgerman off Pot of Prosperity, which is really good because we can manage 3 cards, and after the 3rd standby phase after activation we get those 3 cards back. So it's just a good way to recycle our Exodia pieces to hand, or recycle like dualities or anything that we need. So it's just those extra 3 cards because this card is all about draw power. We just need to try and sift through as much of our deck as we possibly can. So we activate our Shard of Greed to get 2 more cards. We've got another Shard of Greed in hand, so we can activate that. We can activate an Upstart Goblin as well. We got Prohibition here. But we'll keep using Goddess School's Oracle. We'll keep trying to look for any sort of spell and try removal in this guy's deck. We're not currently seeing it, which is a good sign for us. Bad sign for him because currently he's never going to be able to out Mystic Mine, especially with the board he's set up right now, having that many monsters on the field. Does become interesting. He activates Swords of Revealing Light, which I thought was quite interesting because it's stalling against the stall deck. So yeah, that's definitely an interesting strategy from this guy. We keep digging with Prosperity, looking for more pieces. We see a duality there, so we'll pick out that. This is a good thing about duality and Prosperity. You can use Prosperity first when you go into duality. So we see Ledger of Legerdment again. We can activate Ledger of Legerdment, turn 3. Add this Goddess Skull's Oracle. Just have a look, see if we can see anything. Don't see anything. It's worrying us right now. We've got one piece of Exodia in our hand. So we're sitting quite pretty. There's an extra piece as well. We'll activate Ledger of Legerdment. Oh, we see an extra piece. We'll activate Jar of Greed. We'll activate Duality. We're just digging for an extra 2 pieces now. We'll activate Terraforming. We're just sifting through our deck, trying to fin it as much as we can. We'll activate One Day of Peace. See another Silent Wobby. We'll activate Skull's Oracle, just because we've still got Prohibition. We'll activate Prohibition here. We'll just try and tease out a card, see if we can figure out what it might be. We'll also activate Field Barrier, so we've got a pretty good board. We're just looking to actually seal up the game right now, try and get what we can through our draws. But it's looking at this point, we've got three left, so it's not looking likely that he's going to be able to out our current board. By current board I mean Mystic Mine and Field Barrier, because that's literally all it is. Well, I think we've got a Judgment set as well, so it's still a decent board for us right now. You see we draw into this 4th piece, and at this point I was thinking please don't leave the game. We're on 4 pieces right now, so we'll move to end phase. We'll discard our Silent Wobby. So we're like 2 pieces away, and I think we've still got a Ledger of Legerdment to activate. I think we activated 2. But we've seen a body come down for our opponent. I think by this point the game's pretty much over for him. The only good thing about obviously the win condition is to draw Exodia, and there we go, there's Exodia. The win condition has been met. It feels so good to be able to activate Exodia in 2021. It's absolutely crazy. Will we have a bit of a conversation with the guy? I'll let you enjoy that.
Oh hell no!
It's only a game. Why you have to be mad?
So that was the Mystic Mine episode. Well, the Exodia episode as we're going to call it. But yeah, it's basically Mystic Mine. We're going to do like every episode so far, go over some strengths and weaknesses of a deck. So let's kick off right again. Strengths, we have one of the most powerful floodgates in the entire game. Mystic Mine is incredible, still kicking now. The format is, it leads to more control based, and Mystic Mine is just perfect for that. The win condition is really cool. I'm not going to say it's good, but you just feel so cool pulling off Exodia in 2021. So it's pretty good. I do enjoy it. We don't need hand traps of any kind because we play enough floodgates, Mystic Mine and Field Barrier and Oracle. Not floodgates in those last 2, but they allow Mystic Mine to make itself better. It's we get a lot of draw power as well in the deck. You're willing to play a lot of draw, Prosperity, Duality, Shard of Greed, stuff like that. It's really cool. You can draw lots of cards really quickly, start it through the deck really fast. It's super oppressive. People will just quit against this deck really quickly because Mystic Mine is just a house to get rid of. It does lead to some very easy wins, like people will quit just as soon as Mystic Mine comes down. So I mean the win percentage of this deck is pretty high because of Mystic Mine. So I would say it's actually quite a usable deck, consistent enough. Is it meta? Mystic Mine's always on the tiers of meta, isn't it? We'll go on to weaknesses. It's just boring to play. Sitting on Mystic Mine and not doing much for the rest of the game's pretty boring. It can be susceptible to OTKs. Because obviously if you don't draw Mystic Mine or anything, or the opponent doesn't have a monster on the field, you will just get housed. That's why if you don't draw into Mine, it's pretty much over for the game. And also, as a key one, does often lose to side decking. So like things like Droll and any sort of spell and trap removal that they shift into, the deck does just lose to that. Obviously we only have one win condition in the deck, so it's not like we can change operation halfway through. Even if we had a side deck, what could you change? You could probably put a Dragoon package in and that'd be it. It'd be Exodia, Mystic Mine, Dragoon, and that's just, we don't need that sort of thing, do we? But yeah, the deck's good. I'm gonna say that I liked it, but it is the perfect way to make Exodia playable. Allowing to stall, draw your cards, get to Exodia. Yeah, it's good for that. I'll say that for sure. But this has been your Exodia episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know if you change anything in the deck, or if any of you are Mystic Mine players, what you'd actually put in there as win condition. I'm not thinking Final Countdown could probably make an entry into this, but searching it can be really difficult if you don't get it on your first turn. But yeah, thanks guys for watching. I'll see you later.